right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here for the destruction of the game industry as we know it, you're at the right place. Second of all, if you guys want to move a little bit closer, because I know we both have very loud voices, but just in case we have the PA guy decide to give 37 announcements in a row, we want you to still be able to hear us. So, without further ado, my name is Charlie Hawkins. I am the editor-in-chief of Ultra Confusion. We are an independent video game news and review website based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We mainly review independently developed games because we know that AAA titles have about $1 bajillion worth of a marketing budget, and indie game developers really don't understand that they actually have to have a marketing department. They just think that the game will speak for itself. With that being said, I'd like to introduce to you my partner in crime, Jesse.
Hello.
He will basically be the individual who's going to fill in the blanks when my brain goes bleh.
I'm also his foil. He's the straight man, I'm the funny man in the group.
Okay. Anyways, okay, so I know that everyone came here today because they saw that we are saying that the game industry is going away. We never said that. We said it was being destroyed. Basically, here's the deal. The way things were in the past aren't going to work in the future. So what does that mean? That means that a lot of things are changing. If you like getting physical copies of games, that's going bye-bye. Do you like discs? They're not going to happen. You see what's happening on the PC with Steam where everything's going digital? That's what's going to happen in all the consoles. That's what's happening on the handhelds. And technically, there's only one true handheld left, and that's Nintendo. And we all know that if Pokemon were to go away tomorrow, there would be no Nintendo handheld. I know, yes, they've got some quality games out there, but the vast majority of the balancing act that keeps the Nintendo handheld alive is Pokemon. You take Pokemon out of the equation, dead. We can see how amazing the handheld, without having a phone feature, has done for Sony. The PSP, the PSP Go, which was a disaster. And just for the hell of it, does anyone have a PS Vita? All right.
Exactly.
My point exactly. Okay, so what we're here to tell you is that there is still going to be an industry, video game industry, that's going to stick around. The problem is you're going to see a lot of changes. And the biggest changes are actually going to come from the AAA titles. The reason? Money. They love money. And we've also seen that a couple bad titles, or perhaps a little bit of poor management, can shut down almost an entire studio now. Where, a couple of years or 10 years ago, if you made a mistake, you could still recover. Now, it's one strike, you're out. Or you have those individuals who decide that they are sick and tired of being in a specific studio, so they decide to shut it down, i.e. Irrational Games, the company behind BioShock. They decided, we don't want to be the BioShock developer anymore, so let's close it down. Ken Levine, take 15 of your best friends and form another company. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But the biggest thing is that for the AAA titles, the vast majority, yes, there are some exceptions to the rule, but the vast majority are letting creativity die. There's no way that a big name company like an EA or an Activision or a Microsoft is going to allow for too much innovation. If you want an original IP, you're not going to find it on a AAA title. It's going to come from the independent developers, which kind of sucks because the vast majority of indie games go completely unnoticed. What you're going to see with the AAA titles is you're going to see, unfortunately for me, because I'm personally, who likes single player over multiplayer? Awesome. Okay, single player's going bye for the AAA titles. Why? Because it's too expensive. Because when you think single player games, you're thinking, okay, you've got to have a script to follow, you've got cutscenes, you've got non-player characters you've got to interact with, there's areas that you've got to create that maybe those areas are only going to be used once or twice in the game. What you're going to see is you're going to see The single player becomes a tutorial to teach you how to play the game, just in case you don't know it. And then you're going to be thrown straight into a multiplayer game. This is actually part of the publisher developers piece and also the manufacturers of the consoles getting together. They want everything to be cloud-based. They want everything to be recognized online. What's the best way to do that? Throw away single-player games, so that you have to be online. So that online-only thing that everyone's going, oh no, don't worry about it. It's not. It's here. It's just they're just trying to sugarcoat it for you. What you're going to see is you're going to see a bunch of games come out with a core mechanic that works. It's very polished. It's going to look pretty, but then you're going to see 4 to 6 multiplayer maps. That's your game. That's your $60 game. And those developers are going to then give you an avalanche of DLC so that you keep getting games. Extra maps, maybe a new fighting mode, pretty skins for your first-person shooter, which I personally don't understand. Why you need skins if you're playing a first-person shooter. You're letting everyone else enjoy it except for yourself.
And we've been seeing this for years with Modern Warfare and Battlefield, but then it moved into the Assassin's Creed range now and all those kind of things, and it's been developing. I mean, really it started off in the sports franchises with the Maddens and the Major League Baseballs. It crept into your first-person shooters, and now it's basically any game that they can possibly make like this, they're making like this, because it's easy to produce and it's easier to get out there. They can do it within a year. That's why you see a new Assassin's Creed or a new Modern Warfare every year, because they don't need to change that much stuff around, but they can produce it faster.
I'm glad you brought up Modern Warfare. One of the biggest issues that a lot of people have with Modern Warfare is, yes, it's coming out annually. Every single year is a new Modern Warfare, and everyone's starting to pick up it's the same freaking game. They just changed out a couple maps. So what they're going to do is they're going to change their strategy slightly, and they're still going to probably offer you maybe every year and a half to 2 years. They're still going to give you the new game, but they are going to bombard you with maps and the guns and vehicles and different modes, whatever, because they know they can sucker you into it. And also, a lot of gamers have come to the point where they want to play a la carte. They want what they want, and then what they don't want to touch. So they get the core game in there, and then they get to pick and choose what they want.
I actually believe that's making the gamer a much bigger idiot. Personally, I teach middle school. I see it every day. They're not very. They take what they are given. They don't actually stop to think if what they're being given is a quality product or not. And when you throw them online like a 12, 13-year-old, and I will even tell you, when Modern Warfare comes out, you will always see a commercial with like a middle-aged man who's playing with other middle-aged men who all act the same way. It's making a gamer who's not really that well versed in video games. They're like, this is the greatest thing ever. They just changed around the gun or a character or two in a new board, and there you go, it's a new game.
Okay. Does anyone like sports games? Okay. Well, then what I'm about to say, he's heard it 1,000 times. I'm going to tell you anyways. Okay. This is my theory, and I'm pretty damn sure that this is the truth about Madden. And this is why EA will never talk to me again. But that's okay.
They didn't talk to you in the first place.
Yeah, they did.
They did not talk to you in the first place.
Whatever. Well, now they don't. Okay, so my idea for Madden, it's the same freaking game. You're just updating the roster, okay? My idea is they got this huge corkboard that spans the back wall, and it's got a bunch of features on it. They've got 2 darts. They have the enhancement dart and the slightly broken dart. They threw 2 darts at the board. Wherever it lands, that's the enhancement they make for this year. And wherever the slightly broken dart lands, that's where they're going to accidentally forget a little bit of code, so it's going to be slightly broken, so you have to pay $60 next year to have that feature fixed, if that's your favorite feature. Another nasty thing that a lot of perennial games, especially EA, have done is that after 2 years, a 2-year iteration, they cut off the online servers. I don't know if they're going to continue to do this as they push further and further into multiplayer-only games, but something tells me they're probably going to keep doing it. So if you have, let's see, they're at Madden 15 now, I think. So if you have Madden 12, you don't play online anymore. That functionality is taken away because they're like, one of the reasons they rotate the servers just so that they don't have to spend extra money. So, what can you individuals do about this destruction, this craziness, about everything going plain vanilla? Independent developers. Also, there's a group of individuals who are going the route of episodic games or free-to-play games. Episodic games are, they're little bite-sized chunks of a game. You get one of the biggest companies to do is Telltale Games. They do the Walking Dead series. They do Back to the Future. They've done, was it Wolf Among Us? I think is the other game. So it's Wolf. So yeah. So they know how to do it. Okay. The best way for an independent developer or any developer to continuously have a nice little flow of money is to give out episodic content, so that my brain just went kaput.
That's all right.
Okay, skip the episodic stuff because I just lost it. Okay, there are a couple of game models out there, episodic being one. The other one is free to play. Free to play is another way that some studios are trying to combat the need to be bland as toast. Free to play has two completely different styles. You've got microtransactions are going to be in both styles, but one is pay to win, and one is just actually doing a little bit of a la carte where you're buying stuff when you want to. In my personal opinion, free-to-play games that are pay to win are terrible, terrible games that should go away, and that they are poisoning. The chances are you're going to find a pay-to-win game more often than any other type of free-to-play game. So you're going to scare a lot of people away from free-to-play games because they're going to think, well, it's not really free, I'm going to have to pay money, so I'm not even going to try it out. There are some amazing games out there that are free-to-play. A lot of them are on the iOS and Android devices. They're like puzzle games and stuff like that. One of the best examples, because I have spent a shit ton of money on this game, even though it was free off the bat, was Marvel Puzzle Quest. It's Puzzle Quest with Marvel characters, okay? Which is awesome. Well, let me tell you, they have this wonderful idea of you can have this many heroes and villains on your roster. Once you get to that point, then you got to buy an extra slot. What they do is they throw a bunch of common, slightly uncommon heroes and villains in there, and of course you throw them in there thinking, oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome, and then you get like this pimped out, like super cool Iron Man or Storm or Juggernaut, and you're like, I don't have enough slots. Then you start paying some money. Well, I need to level up these guys a little bit more, so you start paying money. See, this is the beautiful thing about free to play. If done right, you're gonna make a ton more money than you would if you put a price tag on the front. Why? Because if you can hook your gamer in and continue to give them content, they will pay. Yes, it's not a subscription fee, so they don't feel like, well, if I drop the game, I'm still gonna get charged for it. It's only when you play. And let me tell you, I spent more money on Marvel Puzzle Quest than a AAA title.
And this is where I pop in and talk about the dark side of that, though. You hear a little bit about this every couple of years or so, and it's the idea of whether you actually own the stuff or not that you purchase. A couple of years ago, Second Life went through this about when you buy something in the game Second Life, the property itself, do you own that? Because Second Life could always say we're going to shut down the servers, or Marvel versus Capcom Puzzle Quest, they can always shut down the servers. You've already spent all this money. Do they have the right to shut you out of a game you spent that money on? Because when you buy a physical disc of a game, you own it, you can play it as much as you want. They could always cut down the servers and you could still probably play the single player mode. But with these online games, these cloud-based games, if they shut down the server, you are now locked out of the game. And companies, especially Second Life, there really have been a couple of smaller ones, but eventually in the next couple of years, I think you're going to hit some really big ones that might make it up to the Supreme Court about what you actually owe or own and don't own. And that's a big thing, is because once they decide to cut off these servers, because these games are only around for a certain amount of time before the company who develops them gets bored and wants us to make a new game, because they can't always create and make the same game constantly. They've got to eventually diversify. Do they have the right to shut you out of games you purchased and things you purchased like that?
That's why to try to preemptively combat a situation like Jesse's talking about, a lot of game developers with almost completely multiplayer-only games, they have changed what they call their game. It's no longer a product, it's a service. We're allowing you to utilize this service for a fee or for free, and then you can gain a little bit of updates if you want to for a price, but when it's not available, it's not available. And that's real. I mean, that's technically...
It's the Microsoft model. It's what Microsoft developed back in the 80s when they first started producing, I guess...
You don't own the software, you're licensing
it. And that's what they're starting to go to. It's very much a Microsoft idea that you're buying a license, you're not buying the product.
And we're also, I know that it's becoming more and more prevalent. We are going to a cloud-based system where all of your games, all your save files, everything that you have utilizes that internet connection, which is another reason why they're considering it a service instead of a product. Because a service, you can have downtime. Product, if you have downtime, that means you broke the game. And they want you to continue to utilize that service when available, which is painful. So, time?
We got plenty of time.
All right, so, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say before I open up for questions here. All right, let's do this. Questions. Anyone got questions
We
about...
love questions. We deal with most
Yes.
questions.
Okay, could you repeat it? What's the best Call of Duty game?
What is the best Call of Duty game, and why is it Modern Warfare 1?
It's a trick question. All Call of Duty games are the same game. Yeah, I mean, truly, that's what it is. I personally, I've got Call of Duty 3, and I've got Modern Warfare 1, and then someone showed me Modern Warfare 2, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, you're pulling my leg. And they're like, no, that's a new game. I'm like, and I'm out. Yes. Steam is a phenomenal digital distribution system. It's actually what everyone else is trying to get to because it's so successful. I do greatly enjoy the fact that if you log into Steam with your information, you can access your games from any computer. It's also a great platform for independent developers because when you put it on the PC, there's no real fee to put your game up there. Yes, they're going to take a chunk of your profit when you sell the game, but it's a great it's a great platform that everyone's trying to copy, like Origins with EA, and then of course you've got all the marketplaces for your Xbox, your PlayStation. They're trying to copy. Yeah.
And
right.
that's where video games truly are starting to go to. These large marketplaces where basically you can put out whatever you want and hopefully somebody will find it. That's why what we do, we feel is so important, is we try to find the best of these independent games and try to pull it out. I mean, eventually you always end up with like a game like Flappy Bird or Angry Birds that kind of gets this big grassroots call and without a whole lot of marketing, all of a sudden it just blows up. But really those are rare in this field. Like, that's very unique for what they do. And like Flappy Bird, the guy was, I think it was up for like 6 or 7 months before it even exploded. A year before it exploded. But once it exploded, the guy couldn't even keep up with it. And after 2 weeks, he had to shut it down because he couldn't keep up with it anymore. So what we try to do is we try to take these marketplaces like Steam or Xbox Live or PlayStation. What is PlayStation's called? I don't use PlayStation. PlayStation Network. I got a PS3. I don't even use it. But we try to take these things and find these things. If you go to our booth downstairs, we have an Hoya, which it failed as a system, but as a platform for building games, it was an amazing idea. Steam allows things like that. Hoya allows things like that. I believe the new Amazon Fire book or...
Amazon Fire TV.
Thank you. He does with all the actual technical things. The Fire TV allows you to build these games. That is where the game industry is going. And really what it is that if you want to ever make a AAA title, you've got to make a small game. You probably have to make 10 or 12 small games or 30 small games before you might even get noticed for a developer. So we are now in a renaissance of the gaming industry with all these platforms. Charlie just last week, 2 weeks ago, went to a talk on the Unreal Engine, and that they are now making it accessible for you to make a game. And what they are talking about is you don't even need gaming programming experience. You can get what Unreal is giving you and make your own game, which is unbelievable. And they're doing it for fairly cheap. Do you want to jump in here now that I'm giving you more platforms to jump off on? I'm giving it to you. I'm throwing you a lob.
Okay, so one of the great things about about having the Ouya and all these iOS and iPad platforms is you're seeing a lot more innovative games. If you want to make a AAA title, you're probably going to be making a sequel or a reboot. So you may, yes, if you get enough games out there, the companies are going to recognize you and probably pull you up. But if you want truly innovative games, you're probably going to have to stick with the independents. Yes, I know Bungie is coming out with a new game, still a first-person shooter, but it's a space shooter, and it's on a foreign planet. Right. There are some exceptions to the rule, but the vast majority of games are going to be the reboots and the sequels. If you want innovative gameplay, you're going to have to find it the hard way. It's going to be. Oh God, I'm going to date myself now.
Yep.
It's like going to the PC game store and then going through the many walls of random games you've never heard of because you don't subscribe to that magazine or the right magazine, and then just choosing one at random saying, this sounds interesting. Now, of course, what we're trying to do is we're trying to be the middleman for you so that you can find out about the game beforehand so maybe you can save yourself some change.
And really, a lot of the way these forums work, whether it be Steam, the iOS, the Apple Store, is you might have a good game that's never been reviewed, so it kind of gets pushed down to the bottom. Or what ends up happening is you get a game like Flappy Birds or Angry Birds, and all of a sudden you've got like 30 different remakes that someone threw together in a weekend, threw it up really quickly, and they kind of get slid up towards the top, and other good games get pushed down towards the bottom. And what we try to do is that stupid car horn.
Keep going.
All day long. So what we try to do is we try to help you weed those out. We don't like IGN or other things because a lot of them are paid to give reviews.
Well, the vast majority of the big name reviewers are getting paid by their sponsors. I mean, that's how they stay open. If you want an honest review, you got to go to an independent reviewer. They might be independently reviewing AAA titles, but if they're not getting sponsored by the company, the truth of the matter is, yes. All right. You need to come close. I can't hear you. Right. Well, there's the thing is, the vast majority of consumers rely on the opinions of others. So yes, there are, every single review is going to have a twist or a turn that maybe you don't experience. But at the same time, there's a ton of people who are willing to risk it because they don't want to jump into the unknown. I know that GameSpot and IGN have both gotten into serious trouble about a couple games that were terrible, and they gave like over 9 out of 10 reviews. And then of course gamers called them out on it. It's just, that's just part of the job. Yeah. Right.
But you'll find that with anything, whether it be a book or a movie, but lucky enough that we are in an age where there's enough information out there on different games and different reviewers where you can read 6 or 7 different reviews and kind of come up with what that real game actually is about. And I think that's...
It won't be 37 now, it's only 36. All right.
Right here on the main stage. This is all of our walking days.
Shut up!
We have your guests. Come on here and ask some questions. I'm sure they'll be able to answer.
We had the same problem last year here. I actually got up out of a panel and told the guy on the microphone to be quiet.
Well, it's because last year we were doing a panel
Next to the Jedi
idol thing, and the MC was screaming through the mic the entire time.
I got up and told him to be quiet. But there's enough reviews out there where you can disseminate what is good and what is not and kind of come up with a real idea of the game. I would say 10 or 20 years ago when you just had, Game Pro magazine or other things, you didn't know, you were just kind of going on what they were saying and hopefully you got a good game or not. And I honestly think games back then were a little bit better because they could screw up and no one would really care. Like, I still think Earthworm Jim was one of the greatest games ever made. I just loved Earthworm Jim. They even made a cartoon out of it, but that's when they were making cartoons out of every video game. There's Sonic, Mario, Earthworm Jim, but that's just old school. I'm dating myself as well.
Captain my friend. That's all I have to say. There's only one review site that that I hate with a passion. The vast majority of reviewers hate with a passion. That's Metacritic. Metacritic is a terrible, terrible, lazy ass site. What they do is Metacritic basically compiles review scores for a bunch of websites. They throw them on there. They make the magic number appear, and then the wonderful publishers of the games dictate, based on the Metacritic score, if the game gets a sequel or not. So, hanging in the balance is if you get an 85 or above on Metacritic, you have about a 90% chance of getting a sequel. If it is an 84 or below, it drops to about 65, starting at 65% and then going down per point, going down. There are so many reviewers out there who have to constantly call the one guy that runs all of Metacritic and say, dude, you did it wrong. Because a lot of people don't do the 100-point system, but Metacritic translates it over. Yeah. Well, you've got game review sites that are doing like 3 out of 5 apricots or some shit like that. And then they're like, okay, that's a 60. No, it's not a 60. In that mind, if you want to translate it to 100 out of a 100-point scale, you have to talk to the actual reviewer and see if they're willing to. Otherwise, don't include them. That's the other thing is Metacritic takes what it wants to take. It doesn't ask. It goes, oh, by the way, you've been chosen to be part of this terrible algorithm that will choose the destiny of what could be an amazing game, but probably not going to have a nice sequel because we're going to jack up your rating. Go for it.
Sure. I was just going to ask, in light of, because I fully agree with the indie.
Yeah.
The indie scene is where it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at Steam. And because these bigger companies are cutting their foot off because they're so stupid, I mean, I'll just Bethesda, Elder Scrolls, is there a place to go for good indie game? Like case in point, we're seeing a renaissance in horror gaming.
Absolutely.
This is the greatest era of horror gaming since Phantasmagoria and the Sierra point-and-click hated. Damn, I just dated myself.
That's okay. I know that game.
I mean, I've never heard of you guys before, but is that, are y'all cool to go to for good quality indie products? Because like you get on Steam and you look at The Forest and the first review, 10 out of 10, kidnapped and got hacked by a baby.
It's,
Daisy is like disinfectant drinking simulator and stuff. Where can you go for serious review on this?
I would recommend you check out our website because it's alteredconfusion.com. Another website that you definitely should check out is the oh my gosh, I keep Double Dash Stash. Yeah, they're another independent review group out of Atlanta. They've got some connections, and there's another one called Max Level. They too do independently developed games. But I'm glad you brought up the Force, because this is a very, very important point to give to you, the audience. If you see the wonderful magical words, early access, that does not mean you are going to be the cool kid in the crowd. What that means is, shit, we're out of money. Give us more money. Maybe we'll finish our game. Let's see if you're a sucker to it. Oh, and by the way, when you buy the early access and you stumble upon something we didn't think of and you're helping out, we're actually utilizing you as unpaid QA. Actually, you paid us to QA our game. The Force is a great example. They have hidden the fact that it's still a early access game. They've taken it out of the description, but when you click on the actual link to go there on Steam, it shows you the blue box of its early access. That is a very, very terrible thing. Yes, sir. What about Dark Souls? What I think about Dark Souls? Okay, yes. Okay, so as part of the reemergence of some of the things, you're also getting those games that make you want to cry because of the rate of difficulty. Dark Souls is definitely one of them. Another game, it's an indie game. It's called 1,000 Spikes or 1,001 Spikes. I can't remember. I know it's on the DS. I know it's on a couple other things, or Super Meat Boy. They're definitely, you're seeing a resurgence of these exceptionally difficult games that want you to make you want to throw something. I think they're great. I personally hate the crap out of them because I may be a game reviewer and I may have played a bajillion games, but there are still games out there that I cannot conquer. And Dark Souls and Demon Souls, Super Meat Boy, those games I will never be able to finish. Contra, Battletoads, yes sir.
As far as the early access thing,
Yeah,
they do blatantly put there, if you don't want to participate, then don't buy the game.
right,
Because I like the idea of early access. The problem is too many companies use that ability.
absolutely.
There's been a couple people that have jacked the price up to $100.
Yep,
So that way, Joe Schmo doesn't buy it, he can just get the game early.
right,
And honestly, if you know the right people, you can get copies directly from the person and help them develop it. It's
Right.
a beast of prey. I got in direct contact with those people, the developers.
yeah, development, right,
And they sent me a copy.
right,
And I, payment, the way I pay them back is I play it once a week. If I find bugs, I send them a little nice email.
Right.
So I like the idea of it. It's just the problem people abuse it.
oh, absolutely.
And that is the biggest problem.
Right, and the thing is, it's one of those situations where everyone's going to keep doing it until people finally figure it out that they're getting suckered.
People are starting to.
I know, and
That's the nice part. People
yeah,
are figuring it out.
absolutely. But the thing is, it's a con game. They're going to run it as long as they can make money off it, because
The biggest one's called Daisy. The running simulator.
okay. So let's talk about money for games. Let's go into Kickstarter.
No.
Yes, we're going to go into Kickstarter.
I have one thing to say about Kickstarter.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but chicken burrito, potato salad,
Potato salad,
is
thank
what
you.
destroyed Kickstarter. Right there. Now, gotta give it to the guy
Oh, yeah.
for an intelligent, ingenious way to earn money. Now, what he doesn't realize is he has to go through with everything he promised.
Absolutely.
He has to.
Exactly it.
If not, he has to give the money back.
Yep.
And that is my problem when it comes to video games, is that so many video games put themselves out there on Kickstarter with only an idea and say, we want to create this video game. And then people start donating money to something that's not even a beta yet. It's not even an alpha.
Well,
it's an idea, and there's no coding behind it.
Case in point.
One good example of a game that did work that way, Mighty Number 9. He didn't have much whenever he asked for funding.
Yeah, but the thing is, he wasn't straying too far away from the formula that made him the man.
Where he is now.
Right, exactly. But case in point, Double Fine Adventures. Double Fine Adventures raised over $3.5 million to make an amazing game, which was first quoted at $400,000, which they quickly surpassed. Problem. Because they surpassed it so quickly, they started throwing, oh, we'll add this feature. Here's another stretch goal. Keep giving us money. This. Ladies and gentlemen, they ran out of $3.5 million without an alpha. Then they decided to throw it on Steam. Early access. Here's the problem. Kickstarter is a phenomenal thing if you market out perfectly and if you get close to your goal. If you just surpass the goal, chances are, here's another thing for developers out there. When you do Kickstarter, you're not making a profit. You're lucky if you break even. The closest I've ever seen anyone get to breaking even is 18 bucks. He was off by 18 bucks. That's phenomenal. But the vast majority of people are probably going to undershoot by a couple thousand. When you surpass your goal, you need to keep the scope of the game in your mind. Double Fine Adventures, which then became Broken Age, Episode 1, because now it's an episodic game because they just don't have enough money for the whole game. Had a very, very interesting trip that it took. Now, I think a lot of people, I think as a result of that and several other games or programs that have come out, you're seeing that not as many are getting funded on simply ideas. They want to see an actual something. You can't just throw concept art unless you are a renowned person. If you're a nobody, they want to see like an alpha. There's a great example that's coming up. I hope they get funded. It's called Elysian Shadows. They're making like a Super Nintendo feel RPG, but they're going to give you like state-of-the-art particle effects and music. They've been working their asses off on this early on, and they've got a huge chunk of stuff done. And now, what's today?
The 17th.
The 17th. Okay.
No, it's not. It's
No, the 18th. Whatever. On August the 1st, they're actually going to start their Kickstarter. They've been working on this for a year already. This is how you're supposed to use Kickstarter. It's supposed to be how to get you.
This is MonsterCon. How much money you get set, but you sign up for the free booster draft for Back in the Gathering. It's now open for registration here in gaming. And I said it's going to be painful. It's the reason why.
Good luck.
Best of luck.
I gave up Magic.
Oh. Well, I stopped playing Magic. Yeah. Shut up! Thank you! I forgot okay. Elysian Shadows, an amazing game. You should definitely check it out. Kickstarter if you want to, but they've got a bunch of stuff up on YouTube. Check out their website. They've done as many steps as you can without asking, please give us money. And now they're at the point where they should be asking you for money.
I mean, I don't like Kickstarter because a guy decided one day he wanted to make potato salad and asked for $10. You can't decide you're going to make a video game and ask for money. You can ask for potato salad because it's potatoes, some celery, red peppers, onions, mayonnaise, little lemon juice, potato salad. That's
or pickles.
easy.
Pickles might be in there.
That's easy. Coding a game, not that easy. You can't just come up with an idea and say, I want to do this. You've got to have a hard fact. I love it for things like board games, for books, things that you can put out there that you can make a harder, solid product. But for video games, I'm not a fan.
Well, the thing with board games is the majority of board games, they already have some kind of demo mock-up that you can look at. So you already know what you're getting. Yeah, some of the mechanics might be hidden, but the vast majority of it, you know what you're getting. Or you've got very well-known companies like Steve Jackson Games who decided, let's see if this game that we used to release a long time ago is still popular. Let's throw it on Kickstarter. Let's do a reprinting it attempt. Ta-da! Money, because people, it's a known product. Question, yes sir. Kingdom Hearts. I played the first two. Wait, no, that's not right. I played the first two, and then I played the Kingdom Hearts 365 divided by 2. Whatever the thing. I don't. Why put math in there? Okay. I mean, they're just screwing with us at this point. It's like Kingdom Hearts 5 times 7 to the pi, radius 7, sine, cosine, tangent.
Your answer is 3.
3. I think it's a great. I think. Yeah, the storyline is good. It was interesting to have an RPG that involved characters from beloved series. It was kind of like Super Mario RPG on steroids. I mean, that's basically how I would put it, except that in Kingdom Hearts it's real time instead of turn-based. But still, Super Mario RPG was the ball.
Dating yourself.
Shut up! I didn't own an Atari. Yes.
Actually, I have 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
First one, the effect of things like live streaming on indie games.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of indie games I would have never seen, and they're getting thousands and thousands of views on them. And 2, unusual new products, things like the Oculus Rift. What effect do you think that's going to potentially have on the industry?
I think the Oculus Rift had a phenomenal impact until Facebook picked them up, Doc. There's still the chance that with Facebook's backing, they could still do a lot. Yes, there are quite a few game companies. They're like, oh my God, Facebook's got it. Not making a game anymore. Not making a game. Case in point is Notch, the guy behind Minecraft, pulled all of his projects off the Oculus. The thing is, yes, Facebook has very, very deep pockets, so it could turn out for the better. But what Facebook is going to utilize the Oculus for is for the next generation of social media. They're going to give you, basically, they're going to give you the ability to sit in on a virtual concert, in a virtual building with other virtual people. It's kind
on steroids.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it is. Second Life on steroids. Absolutely. There's still potential there. There's still. He is not a fan of VR. So I'm just gonna put it out there. It's still gimmicky. The thing is, it's still going to be a peripheral that not everyone is going to be interested in getting. So it might make an impact, but it probably is not going to make as big an impact as everyone thinks it's going to, like 3D TVs.
Gimmick. 3D
He
gaming.
loves 3D.
Well, the price point
Gimmick.
for the Rift so far, it seems like it's decently reachable for the average consumer.
Well, actually, this is the other thing. With Facebook owning it and them trying to market it as a the next social media device, you're going to have the price point has got to go down, because you want the cheerleaders, and I'm not saying the cheerleaders are not gamers, but individuals who are non-gamers to pick up the device. So they got to make it cheaper, which means perhaps cheaper parts. And the other thing is, and I hate to say this, but the Oculus, in terms of sexiness, is a 0 out of 10. I mean, it's like putting a black box of tissues on your head and then sitting there going, that's not sexy at all.
I don't think we're that far away from WALL-E, personally, where everybody floats around in chairs and just stares at a screen that's right in front of their face.
Oh, absolutely.
With Oculus. But I think one of the things that it does do that's very positive, looking at it as a business standard,
Keep going.
is that when something like that gets picked up by a big business, there are loads of small businesses who want to get in on that idea. My best example of that is when Microsoft bought the company that eventually they turned into the Kinect. It was the only camera in the market that could do what Microsoft wanted to do. Now you got loads of other companies either making their own, or smaller companies that are trying to make their own to get eventually bought. And I think because nobody wants to see these big companies monopolize the market, they allow other companies join in. And I think eventually you'll see lots of smaller companies
Keep going.
do the virtual reality thing where they're trying to make, sexier hoods or things like that, things that look better to eventually to undercut Facebook, just because they like to do that.
It looks like it's got a little bit of a wider purpose than something like, say, Virtual Boy.
Oh God!
No, don't say virtual.
Way before
there's one over
time.
there.
Really?
No. Oh, Christ.
I just asked you about it yesterday.
Sir.
Do y'all know of any indie company because of the Oculus? It is my dream.
Uh-huh.
I don't care how the game looks in 50 years. I want to play Doom 3, and I want to feel like I'm there because when I crap myself, I at least want to have a good reason.
Right. Okay, so I don't think anyone's gotten to that point. There is a company out there who's making what's called, oh my God, I think they probably renamed it at this point, but it was called theater emulation. Basically, when you put the Rift on, you're basically in a huge movie theater, and on the screen was a Super Nintendo emulator. And you can literally, you can switch from the game to the stadium seating, and you can change what seat you're in, and you can get that perspective as you're playing. That is awesome, and that would be a step in the right direction. But getting in Doom would be scary as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a disabled veteran,
Uh-huh.
so gaming for me becomes an issue with hand-eye coordination because of nerve damage.
Uh-huh.
I can't really do PvP because I'm just a target.
Yeah.
I don't.
Right.
But the peripherals like Kinect, which is, I'm sorry if I offend anybody, is an absolute piece of shit that I paid $200 extra for that
Right.
I shouldn't have had to
Right.
when I bought my Xbox One.
Uh-huh.
It sits less than 6 feet away from me, and 90% of the time it doesn't do what I ask it to do,
Right.
other than turn itself on when I don't ask it to. So I want to know what kind of steps are being taken, because in veteran rehab, they're using game consoles.
Right.
I mean, they're using the Wii gaming
Yep.
stuff
Yep.
for rehab. They're using first-person shooters to help redevelop hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
So, but it's like the games and this whole Oculus thing. I mean, a lot of us are afraid because we can't translate what we're seeing now.
Right.
And while there are companies out there that are making peripherals on controllers for people with certain types of disabilities,
Right.
when it comes to what a lot of us like, the traumatic brain and the central nervous system, none of this stuff works.
Right.
So, I mean, is anything, well, okay, so sorry. So the question is, sorry I'm on drugs, is there being any attempt made to help this segment of the gaming market? Because there's a lot of us out there, a lot of vets who are gaming
Right.
to stay away from pain.
I would say the unfortunate thing is there's no mainstream push for that. I think that there are some individuals out there. One individual who's always been looking out for people is a guy named Ben Heck. He has rebuilt a ton of. He's built one-handed Xbox 360 controllers.
The Game Informer last
Yeah.
month, I think.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal guy, and there's some other guys that are lesser known that do that type of thing. But from a mainstream point of view, unfortunately, and this pisses me off as much as it probably pisses you off even more, they still view that demographic as much smaller than the target demographic, and so it's not as focused because they know that they're like, well, we still sell it to all these people over here. And the sad matter of it all is there's no such thing as a real game console anymore. with the exception of the Wii. The majority of these consoles are, oh my gosh, it's a multimedia device. It's there to allow you to surf the internet or watch videos or TV. To be totally honest with you, I owned an Xbox One on day one. I have played one game. I have since, the only time I've touched the controller is when I need to stop a movie playing. Otherwise, I'm just screaming at the Kinect, and hopefully the Kinect is choosing the right TV channel for me. I have gotten some really weird stations, like, what is this? Yeah, no, mine is Xbox mute, Xbox mute, Xbox mute.
Says that.
Yeah.
I did see one report the other day, actually about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was they were using an Oculus Rift for helping disabled veterans that had from the Phantom Limb.
Yeah.
And they said they were starting to get some really good results. So there is at least 1 or 2 companies out there that's trying to make actual progress on that. And it's sad, like we said, it really comes down to the money, where most of the money is.
Right.
These are young guys. I mean, the demographic here, you're talking 18 to 26,
Yep.
left video gaming the ass off, playing, Call of Duty,
Right. Right,
Halo,
right.
whatever. And now they really can't because they can't compete in the PvP market.
Right.
So, and part of our rehab is video gaming. Because it helps the pain. You just kind of can
Right.
put it away.
Right.
So
Yeah.
less drugs.
No, I mean, I personally still think the Oculus Rift, like the Kinect, is really going to be a gimmick. I think, I've used the Kinect for years since it came out because Charlie's always had one, but it's a gimmick. Like, a lot of the stuff they produce these days are gimmicks. It's like the Power Glove was with Nintendo. Like, they always have done these things where they do these gimmicks and they last for a while and they go away until they find the next thing and the next thing. And I think with the Oculus Rift, it will be a gimmick, and I think it will get picked up in smaller markets, or they'll attach it onto a system like they did with the Kinect and the Xbox One, where they had to buy it, and then they were like, wait, never mind, let's back off of that one after a year.
Yeah. Now it's only $3.99.
Now, without the Kinect. Question.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was just going to comment on the same idea that you went on.
Yeah.
There was a recent, pretty popular story about how a girl wrote to got into Rift development about how her grandmother had cancer and was in such pain she couldn't get up the stairs. And so they went outside, like, took photos of her backyard and everything, and made a virtual reality of her backyard so she could go outside again.
Right.
And just explore no gameplay. They were just to walk
Yeah.
around and live in a different world for a little bit.
Right.
Or innovate stuff.
And it's interesting you mentioned that. When I was 5 or 6, so this was still in the 80s, I had trouble with my muscle development, and at the time I was seeing a physical therapist. She had me playing Tetris or Dr. Mario back then, because even then they understood that it helped build. And now I'm a perennial button masher, but I still have pretty good hand-eye coordination, and it's part of that, and it's been understood for a long time to do that. And I think it's great that they can use this technology, and I hope that they start focusing on it more, because we have that large group of veterans. I mean, over the last 10 years, we've had something like 500,000 people over that span of time go in and come out.
I was in the Navy, and part of what they do now for pilots, because the spray is so complicated, it requires an ability to respond. They're exclusively looking at video gamers, because they're the only ones that can handle the load that they have to process coming off their head. They've been doing it since they were 9 years old.
Right.
We could do a whole panel just on how one military affects video gaming, and the video gaming affects the military. Just because my brother worked for the Defense Department for many years, and they would do simulated war games using things like Battlefield or Modern Warfare, because they could literally take the guns, simulate what they did, because those gaming systems took the weapons from the military designed it accurately, put them into the game, and then they could build an attack scenario that the military would eventually use through those games. I mean, it's unbelievable the potential. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator is so complex that one of my friends who is he flies his own planes. He said that he had flown before and then he tried to tackle this game. And he goes, dude, this is harder than flying a real plane. I mean, it's so sophisticated. There's a battle mech game that has foot pedals and 2 joysticks. Do what? Yes, Steel Battalion. That is so so complicated, but I mean, there is some sophistication. It's just unfortunate that that was a one-off. You either were in it or you weren't, and then you would never see that kind of rig. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we're probably getting kicked out in a second.
Yeah.
But if you have any additional questions, comments, criticisms, whatever, we are down there.
We're next to Dr.
We're next to
Destiny, no.
Father Darkness and Rage Davidson, the professional wrestler and promoter. We're also basically really close to, I cannot remember the gentleman's name, but he was the kid in the Munsters.
We're on that
close to that one.
Patrick.
Yes, that's the one. But if y'all are around for tomorrow, we are doing another panel. It's called "So You Finished Making Your Indie Game, You Think You're Done." It is a look into the pitfalls of being an independent developer. I hope to see you there at 11 tomorrow. But if not, definitely come down to our table. We love to talk to people. We've got buttons and other bits of information that are somewhere in our brains that we'd love to show off to you. So thank you.